play is the highest form of research, Albert Einstein once said. To our ever dynamic professor in this course, Methods of Research, Dr. Raisili C. Mendoza, and to all my co-students under this course, a pleasant afternoon to all. I am Edgar Jr. E. Motifalcon, reporting about participant observation as one of the methods of research.
The most common data collection methods used in qualitative research are observation, interviewing, and document or artifact analysis. In a study, the researcher may use one or more of these methods, but in this discussion, we will just focus on data collection method using observation. What is observation? Observation is a basic method for obtaining data in qualitative research and is more than just hanging out. It is a more global type of observation than the systematic, structured observation used in quantitative research. The qualitative researcher's goal is a complete description of behavior in a specific setting rather than a numeric summary of occurrence or duration of observed behaviors. Qualitative observation usually takes place over a more extended period of time than quantitative observation. Also, qualitative observation is more likely to proceed without any prior hypothesis. Quantitative observations often use checklists and behavior observation tools developed prior to the observation to record or document observed behaviors. Qualitative observations, on the other hand, rely on narrative or words to describe the setting, the behaviors, and the interactions. There are several benefits as well as drawbacks to the use of observation for data collection. Observation may allow the researcher to determine whether what is said actually matches actions or may illuminate subtleties that may be outside the consciousness of the person or that the person cannot articulate. However, observation approaches can be very time-consuming or intrusive, and the researcher may infer meanings that are not those of the observed, a danger particularly present in cross-cultural studies. Guided by the research question, the qualitative investigator must select a site in which to observe. You must seek to gain access to a particular site or group of people in which the topic of interest can be studied, and then negotiate entry by adopting a role as a full participant observer, just an observer, or some combination of the two. In many cases, once the site is selected, the researcher has to get permission to conduct the study in that setting. It may take a long time from the first contact with the site until final approval is given. Marshall and Rassman in 2006 provide advice to consider related to the researcher's role in a study. First is the amount of participantness or level of involvement of the researcher in the setting, from complete participant to complete observer as described later. Second is the extent of revealedness, or how well the participants are informed about the study, which may range from full disclosure to complete secrecy. Third is intensiveness or extensiveness, indicating the amount of time and duration of time spent in the setting. Fourth is the study focus, ranging from the specific with well-developed research questions and data identification needs to the diffuse with more exploratory questions and less well-defined data needs. As noted previously, the qualitative researcher may be a participant in the situation being observed or a non-participant. 5 instances toward observation have been identified. 1. Complete participant. 2. Participant as observer. 3. Observer as participant. 4. Complete observer. And 5. Collaborative partner. A complete or covert participant is a member of the group or context under study and focuses on the natural activity of the group without informing the group that it is under study. In the participant as observer stance, the observer actively participates and becomes an insider in the event being observed, so that he or she experiences events in the same way as the participants. The researcher's role is known to the people being observed. In the observer as participant stance, researchers may interact with subjects enough to establish rapport, but do not really become involved in the behaviors and activities of the group. Their status as observer and researcher is known to those under study. The complete observer is typically hidden from the group, or maybe simply in a public setting observing public behavior. For example, in studies that involve the use of one-way mirrors or hidden cameras to observe preschool child behaviors, the researcher is a complete observer. The collaborative partner stance described in action research and feminist research has a defining characteristic: an equal partnership in the research process between the researcher and participants. The degree of participation in an observation study is thus a continuum ranging from a complete participant at one end to a complete observer at the other. The observer must decide what degree of participation will provide the most appropriate data. It is easier to ask questions and record observations if members of the group know your purpose. Furthermore, it may be more ethical to make people aware of what is going on. Being open, however, may present problems. The most common method of recording the data collected during observation is field notes. The researcher may make brief notes during the observation, but then later expands his or her account of the observation as field notes. Field notes contain what the researcher has seen and heard. Field notes may include photographs and audio and video recordings. The researcher's reflections are identified as observer comments to distinguish them from the descriptive information. The researcher's field notes present the data that will later be analyzed to provide an understanding of the research setting and the behavior of people within that setting. It can be said that the successful outcome of the study relies on the detailed, accurate, and extensive field notes. Record everything you see, hear, or experience during the observation session. Observation sessions typically should last not more than 1 or 2 hours at a time. Otherwise, so many data accumulate that it is difficult to record them all. Although field notes are the most common data collection technique used in observations, other techniques may include audio or video recordings or photographs. And that ends my report about participant observation. Thank you for listening.